Blessings and love. I am so blessed today to have Ethan here with me. He is a stage 4 brain cancer thriver and survivor, and in his own divine light is spreading love and healing throughout the land. And he is here to help us see a new way of healing, a new way of understanding ourselves and our physicality and our mental wellness and our spiritual wellness. So Ethan, go ahead and introduce yourself and then get into um, where we're at with your diagnosis and where you're going next.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for having me on your podcast and for your time and support. I really appreciate it. Um, so yeah, I guess maybe I'll start where I'm at now and then I can kind of backtrack a little bit. But right now I'm recovering after 13 months of 4 head surgeries, brain surgery, multiple head infections, uh, grand mal seizures after never having them my whole life. Had an apartment fire on August 8th, and in the middle of dealing with the brain cancer and head infection, I quite literally had to let go of everything. Instant letting go, instant faith, staying at an Airbnb, trying to find a new home. So a lot has happened in my life in the past 13 months. Currently, I'm healing from the brain cancer. I'm healing from the recent, this is a little graphic, but I'm going to show you what my head looks like. I guess you wouldn't say it's a headache. It's more of a stomach ache because my stomach's on my head. They grafted abdominal tissue to replace the skull section that they cut out a few weeks ago. Well, actually 2 months ago. So that was the past 13 months. And the present moment, the doctors say that there's nothing they can do to heal the tumor. They say in my specific situation, there's no cure. Literally, the doctor gave me a list of hospice care, and he said I could go to hospice care and they would make it as comfortable as possible he didn't say this, but as I die. But then just something in my heart told me that I can heal. So I left the hospital a few weeks ago. I got out of the hospital. And I've been in pretty much full on like fight for my life mode all day, every day. But I'm trying to stay as cool as a cucumber, like not fighting for my life out of fear, but because it just feels right in my heart. Um, and then I still need a 5th head surgery coming up to replace this section of skull that they took out. So it's quite a bit that I'm going through, but every step of the way, I kind of wish there was like a video camera on me all the time because there have been so many blessings and miracles in relationships, in myself, in just that I've witnessed. So it's like there are these challenges and pain. I'm shivering a little because I was just in an ice cold bath while live streaming. That's one of the practices I've been doing to reduce the inflammation in the brain. The doctors never once said, why don't you take a cold shower? That might reduce the inflammation. Or do these anti-inflammatory protocols. They just said, do radiation, do chemo, do surgery. It's no judgment against them and their training, but that's just what's been happening. So I've kind of had to take initiative of what I do because otherwise I could be dead by now.
What have you done holistically? And most of the listeners and viewers don't know that you actually come from a holistic background and natural background. So you were already living a healthier life than most typical people in Hawaii and, doing yoga and all of these other practices. How have those practices and what, if any of those practices, have been brought into your life to help with this healing?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say quickly that, see, I'm lucky I could see how and why the brain tumor formed in the first place. Like when I was younger, I was not into the healthy practices all the time. So because of those unhealthy habits, like I see where the brain tumor formed. And then as I got older, I kind of got into the healthy and holistic lifestyle, but it wasn't enough to shrink the tumor. Like it just wasn't enough healing. So the tumor grew to a certain size where, and I guess this is where the story begins, is that flying from Hawaii to New York, the tumor had grown so big that with the pressure in the airplane also, it pressed on the nerve in the plane, and I had a minor stroke. And then the next day, the left side of my body was slightly paralyzed. And that was 13 months ago. So yeah, I was feeling healthy, never got a headache, never got sick in, I don't know, years. Like, well, I was in India and I got dengue fever, but besides that, I would just never get sick, never get a sniffle or sneeze. So to
India's
have that,
another beast. You're gonna get sick. India's another beast. We can't.
yeah, so yeah, but I feel very lucky because if I had to change my lifestyle instantly to heal the cancer, I don't think I could have done it. So it's almost like my soul prepared me for this with many years of like fanatical, intense yoga and all these other trainings. So that's why I feel lucky that on a certain level I can handle what's happening. Like where not everyone could. It's so intense all the time, every day. But this is why I wanted to speak with you because I feel like many people are going through challenges right now, maybe different than mine, but I think a lot of people are going through their own death rebirth in
Hmm.
their own way, and we can love each other and support each other now. And I think this is the only way we're actually gonna get through this, to be honest. Like we're not individual success, but like supporting each other's success with our own strengths. So that's what I'm trying to do.
You are doing it. You are doing it on fire, and
I was gonna say, sorry to interrupt. I'm so cold, but
oh,
I'll
no, no,
take
no.
it.
Yes, take the warmth of that. But
Yeah.
so you were doing an ice bath, and so you mentioned some things that actually help with inflammation. And with my multiple autoimmune diseases, I had to change my entire lifestyle to where I have to eat plant-based to keep the inflammation down, and I have to do yoga and meditation and multiple practices to keep inflammation down, to keep
Mm,
the mood stabilized. A lot of people don't realize the brain controls so much, the central nervous system, with your temperature regulation, your ability to have strength. The fatigue can come in if it's not. There's so many different aspects of the day people may take for granted that
yeah.
we have to literally focus on to keep balance. So where
Mm,
someone else, when you're like, oh, it's just a shower. No, I have to have that shower or I'm not going to
yeah.
function, later. So
Mm,
that's the difference in the drive. So with your diagnosis, you mentioned that you were on your way from Hawaii to New York, and that's when, the onset of everything happened. Can you explain the diagnosis, and from there, the introduction to E3?
sure. Yeah, I mean, I went I went to the hospital because the left side of the body felt like it was getting paralyzed, and that's what happens with people if they have brain issues. Often they'll feel numbness or weakness on one side of the body. So they did all these brain scans and they saw a huge amount of inflammation and then a really massive tumor. And yeah, so they said it's stage 4 brain cancer. It's called glioblastoma. It's probably the deadliest form of cancer that I'm aware of anyway. And so yeah, it was so urgent that I needed surgery immediately because it was already dangerous how big it had gotten. So it was too late to only use holistic modalities, basically. So I had surgery on October 17th, 2019. And then like, I definitely wanted to only use holistic modalities to heal the cancer, but because of the fact that it was already in the brain and the type of cancer, it was kind of a hard decision, but I decided to do 8 weeks of radiation and chemo, and uh, and then went from there the past 13 months. Um, so you wanted me to share about the E3?
Yes, please, please. And that is so powerful on how you've gotten through that. That is the power right
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. So I was living with a shaman and my teacher and friend on Hawaii, and we did a private ayahuasca ceremony. And in the ceremony, I asked him, I said, Om, his name is Om. I said, I'd like a new name, but I don't just want to give myself like some new hippie name and think anything has changed. Because there's so many hippies on Hawaii, and I'm definitely one of them. But I don't know. I didn't want to name myself like Angel Star God or something. I don't know. So I thought it would be cool to like ask him because I respect him and I've been working with him for a few years. And so we kind of went into meditation, and at times I thought he was sleeping actually. And then he got up and he put his arm in the air and he said, E3, embodied, empowered, ecstatic. That's your name. And I thought
Yes.
about it. I was like, wow, that's cool. So that was last year. And since then, I've been kind of using it as an affirmation, as a practice. And so, yeah, that's my birth name is Ethan, but I use the name E3 to kind of affirm that that's a part of who I am too.
Yes. Yes.
And also, something that just happened today, actually, is that the E3 affirmation, it's important how we use it, you know, because we could tell ourselves anything while maybe we have inner criticism, but we're telling ourselves, I am confident. And then at nighttime, we're telling ourselves, oh, I'm a loser, I'm worthless. So it's important to notice like the inner dialogue and the outer dialogue. But for me, I'm trying to make the E3 affirmation the inner and outer dialogue. Um, oh, yeah, but what I wanted to share is that recently and starting today, it's just E2. Doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but because I'm realizing now through the head surgery, it's very important for me to feel embodied and empowered and grounded. And so I'm just focusing on those energies. And also I'm doing live stream workshops where we focus on grounding and feeling embodied and empowered. And we help each other by doing the affirmation. So for example, in the live stream, while I was sitting in the ice water, as a group, I think there was like 10 of us there, each one would share an intention for the new year. So we're definitely not waiting until December 31st or even tomorrow to set our intentions. We were starting today, and the person would share their intentions. And then as a group, we would say, I am embodied. I am empowered. And then we would take a deep breath in and exhale and go into instant meditation,
Yes.
and then send all of our love and our prayers to that person. And then we would go around for each person. So I've been doing things like this, you know, trying to just do what I can each day.
Are those live and open for everyone? They can follow you and then kind of pop in, or is that something they could go through your website to join in?
Well, yeah, it's live on my Facebook page, and then it'll
Okay.
be posted afterwards. The thing is, because of the pain and challenges, things are getting better, but still, also I have
Right.
limits on what I can do tech-wise. But my goal is to create some sort of platform. I already have the domain e3affirmation.com, but I really want to share my journey and support people as best as I can. But for now, I'm just live streaming on Facebook and YouTube, you know.
And that's exactly where, we all start. It starts, within ourselves, and then that one person that we open up to, and then it's a few more people, and then those people, and then the healing vibration just continues to flow, and it's not something that becomes an effort. It's not like, right now you could be getting up like, okay, I have the struggle and this condition may have me do things a little different. But for you, again, the vibration is back and forth with the healing. So you're amongst people that are healing, you are helping them in your healing, and that vibration continues. So when you are capable, um, and those things do go out, it can continue to flow on, and hopefully on the platform people can go back to it
Mm,
and just keep reflecting back to that as they need, because it is a daily thing. It has to be a daily practice. And there are days that people can go and say, oh, I'm not going to meditate today. I believe in active meditation. I
mm,
believe in, it's not about me going and just, oh, I'm going to set 20 minutes. Yes, that's needed. I do need that active, meditation mostly, though, because that's in my everyday walk. I need to be able to, okay, I'm on this vibe and I am in one moment at a time,
mm,
and keeping that flow and balance. And I think with you teaching the multiple aspects of what it is for you to continue is a healing vibration most don't know because they're not in the situation or may never be. And we pray they don't have to be in that situation to get that understanding and that vibration. So, what is for you when you're talking with other people and you're healing and your spiritual divine light begins to come up? What is different now than before?
Hmm. Well, it's been painful, but I've had the opportunity to face death several times. For example, even creating a living will that gave me a chance to explore different things, like what is it going to be like if I'm not in my body, but my parents are? That wasn't quite part of my plan. I wanted to be able to help them and help other people. Um, I don't know, but I do feel lucky that I haven't become bitter or angry at the universe, or the dreams in my heart are still very much alive. I mean, even more so. So I think, I don't know, it's made me more humble, more compassionate. I think more, I don't know, I feel happier now than I have maybe my whole life. It's just that there's all this pain and being very close to death. So,
Can you explain when I know it's very difficult for people when you have chronic illness, folks like I'm in pain every day, and well, they can't really explain it. I can break down my pain. Being in a neurological sense or brain type pain where it's an infection that's touching all areas of your body. So when you're dealing with infections, inflammation, and nerves, your pain can range in the morning with just a headache, and then in the afternoon with paralysis, or right after it, or back to back to back. It's not one consistent pain. What are some of the most, I guess you could say, the most consistent ones that you face every day?
mm, I guess, I mean, for sure, the one in the right side of my head. I don't know. It's kind of like a burning needle moving in and out all the time. It's hard to say because if somebody was cutting off my left foot, that would be so much more painful. So it's like, I guess there are levels of pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's that pain in the head, and then also the left side of the body. Like this is my left hand. I think the camera might be flipped, but
Mm-hmm.
when I stretch the fingers, it feels like it's on fire and it hurts. But again, it could be worse. If I squeeze something, it hurts. So I have to be mindful all day long of not aggravating the left side of the body. Um, yeah. And then also just the fact of, even if like LeBron James went through what I went through the past 13 months, even he would feel a little sore and pain from all these surgeries and, seizures and all this stuff. So I'm trying to just have faith that on a certain level, I'm just out of shape and the body will heal. But then there's also the cancer and that stuff. So,
Have you used cannabis before? I know holistically there are so many different, and you believe in plant medicine as I, and with that cannabis shrinking tumors and infections and antiviral and bacterial and fungal and all of that. Have you had any luck with reducing your pain through cannabis or any other plant medicine to give you comfort?
yeah, definitely. I mean, in my whole life, I would use cannabis just once in a while. I had a friend in Maui who grew the best in the whole world, probably. I don't know, but it was awesome. But I would just use it like once every few months. But since having the brain cancer, I learned about THC oil and its medicinal benefits. So I've been using that.
Good.
I try to use it consciously, but it helps a lot with the pain and
Yes,
sleep, especially the THC indica. That's helped so much. And sometimes it helps even more than painkillers.
they do.
So
Yeah, yeah, it really does.
without the side effects.
That part. I did my spinal surgery discectomy on cannabis alone. I had them take me off my drip the second day because I had been on opioids and pain meds for years. When I say like 7 years straight for
Wow.
managing all of the autoimmune diseases. So flipping over and recognizing that I had more benefit from the THC oil than I did on 40 milligrams of Oxy a day. And I still was in
Whoa.
pain. Yeah, still was in pain. It's neurological. It's not going to do anything for you. Even with the nerve blockers, the brain was in so much trauma while trying to heal and going through, as you know, the procedures and practices and trying to find and diagnose and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
back to back to back surgeries, the body never has time to catch up. Chemotherapy alone with one of the rounds takes a year at least for it to get back out of your system and start to try to balance. I saw one of your videos and you were like, I think this is coming out. And yes, that's a chemo
Yeah.
rash. So my chemo rash came out on my face this last treatment. And I used a lot of natural practices, but mostly I use cannabis. So everything that I was able to get through has been a huge cannabis derivative in whatever light. CBD is in hemp or marijuana. So wherever I can, I'm in Las Vegas, so it's legal.
Mm.
So that's how I treat everything. And I got off all of those 40 pills and I just manage it this way. Now, with some of the folks that I've met that have cancers, they manage shrinking their tumors by consistently doing a Rick Simpson oil application and shrinking. And I'll get you that information as well. I'm sure you've already
Mm.
heard about it.
Yeah, I use that too.
Yes, that's what you need right there. That's that good stuff. So Rick Simpson
Yeah.
oil is what I use for my spinal surgeries too, and on my worst days when I'm going through. So I think now with your healing intention, the intention of now having the plant medicine coming in and being the vibration and the tool of healing, I use that for me. And I know that, you know, in your light, you do the same thing and it's powerful. And you are right. It's when we're at our bottom that we feel our most alive. Like, I can see my dreams, I can see the vision. I had a dear friend of mine in this last spell, and she said, Chris, you're at the bottom. And she said, but here's what's beautiful about the bottom. You can't go no further down. There's only one way, and that's up. And I said, okay, I don't know if that's any positivity to me right now, but but you know, I take it for how it is. And then I began to think about it, you know, that there is this light of I don't have a choice. And when we don't have a choice, when we're faced with the mysterious, I don't know what's wrong with you, or there's no cure, or I can't fix it, um, you get you get in this place of I am my own healer. I came in this world with all of these beautiful healing things in the universe to use. I can just apply them. I can do this. I need these doctors, but if those aren't the doctors for me right now, I do have other means to heal. And I accept it. I have accepted that this is my life. I've accepted that I don't wake up and have a hate for the universe and all of the pain that I know I will face. I look at it as an opportunity for me to opposite, like, okay, this hurts so bad, but I gotta sit here. What can I do for myself? Why do I need to sit here? Because my body's telling me I've had enough, but why do I need to sit here?
Mm.
And that's usually when I stop and say in that active meditation or, you know, intentional deep meditation, I go into a place of, because I need you to pay attention to
Mm.
me. I need you to go inside and look inside your body. And I've gotten to a spiritual place where I can close my eyes and imagine my eyes rolling back and
Mm.
guide it going through each cellular level, each layer of skin and muscle, looking inside the body where the pain is coming from. And
Mm.
it goes back to what you said earlier. It's like, what if we could look in our brain before the problem came? What if we could
Yeah.
just do a scan, you know, and it says that your brain right now is under so much stress that you are about to bust a blood vessel, you
Yeah.
know, or you're about to cause a migraine, because that's what the migraines were, you
Yeah.
know. those type of things that we don't think about, but if we can actively just look inside when we feel the pain and say, where is that coming from? What's in there that you're trying to tell me? What do I need to give you? So usually when I have a pain, it's like, what are you telling me? And it consumes my day sometimes. Okay, I need to get off of you. I've been off of you for an hour. You're still swelling. I've given you, you know, cannabis. I've given you oil. I've given you whatever essential I need. I've given you rest. I've given you ice, heat, whatever it is. And while I'm sitting there giving, I take this intention of nurturing in such a way delicately, and I find a gentleness.
Mm.
It's like the the gentleness between a parent and a child, but you're doing it to yourself. You're
Yeah.
holding yourself up, and you're finding a new level of appreciation. And usually in that time, and I go back through my body, by the time I get back up to my head, once I've tracked where the pain is coming, I find myself looking again and saying, like you, it's like, it could have been worse. It's calm.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Next thing. And then, the next thing happens. And sometimes, I don't know, some of the other practices, or how you're able to do, your yoga now and your stretching, but sometimes it takes me having to physically do something else, even though it hurts worse, to pull myself out of it, to where okay, I'm going to go walk. I'm going to go and do this. And then I reach a different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is
Yeah.
it for you?
As far as
Getting out of the
okay,
pain and how you address it, and being able to say, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to do to manage this. I'm going to rest. I'm going to elevate. What is some of your go-to areas of being able to see where the pain is and how to control it? If it is controllable, a lot of it is not.
yeah. I mean, as best as I can with everything, because everything's so intense as far as like family stuff and finances and what's happening in the world, and then the pain, the tumor. So as best as I can, I try to like take a breath and almost detach a little bit and just take in the data. Like I try to gain as much data as I can from people, from doctors, and just take in as much, whether they're holistic or Western or my mom or dad or whoever, take in the data and then kind of just meditate for a second or two and then make a decision as consciously as possible. It's easier said than done, but that's what I try to do all day long. So when there's the pain, I try to go through that same process and see like what I actually need, what I can do. Am I doing something in integrity or out of integrity? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that I'm even saying that, because most people would say, well, just use THC all day long or use the painkillers whenever you need. But with
Mm-mm.
everything, I'm trying to make everything a practice, because when I heal, I want to keep these good practices going. And then the body will catch up, but those good practices will still be there. So now is kind of my opportunity, painful opportunity, to do real life practices that I'll never have a chance to do again, really, hopefully.
Yeah, and those practices, a lot of folks say that, like, I use cannabis throughout my day, but I will not use, like, for me, the same, a heavy chemovar profile like indica with high myrcene and high caryophyllene and things that are going to sink me. My mood can't handle being sunk all day,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know what I mean? We're in, really sad situations. We don't need to just be sad, chemically sad,
Yeah,
so it's difficult. You have to learn to sit in the pain, or just be comatose, or just be sad and still be, in some pain, because the pain doesn't go completely away. It helps tremendously. But when you're dealing with something in your nervous system and as yourself, there are no textbooks for your
yeah,
condition and how to treat this. Most people don't even get to be where you're at. 90% of people aren't even capable of having a practice, and you've beat all the odds. You've created this space of changing what people think as stage 4 to this is the transition of living, not while dying, but living in death transformation. And so I think this is this is great because people don't get to see this type of experience with someone living with half of their skull that has been opened, with constant infections in the brain. Most people aren't capable of communicating, articulating, or holding the space in front of a camera or on the phone due to headaches or other circumstances. But you beat the odds, and you do it every day, and you do it with love, and you're not tearing the world down in fear. You've embraced a different light. And I know we all have the possession of that, and we do not have to wait to stage 4 brain cancer to get there.
Mm.
You can give us the wisdom and the keys while you heal this so that we know better. Is there anything before we end this segment, because I feel that we're going to have multiple segments, is there anything that you know would be something for someone to avoid when looking at this rare circumstance that you're in? I know you said there's some unhealthy habits that you have to avoid, you know, that just did not help in this condition, but is there anything that is a link that says, hey, yeah, no, I don't want to say it's, hey, don't eat cow, but what could it be that you know is something to be eliminated with facing these type of tumors?
Hmm. Well,
Or what do you avoid?
yeah. I mean, for sure, keto. I'm kind of just intense anyway, but I'm doing like a organic vegan keto diet, which most people can't do, and raw vegan, like living foods. Once in a while,
Yes.
I have like uh, I don't. I'm vegan all the time, except now I have a functional medicine doctor. He recommended fish oil for the brain healing.
Hmm.
And then my father-in-law made turkey for Thanksgiving, and he was going to throw out the bones, but I was thinking, well, maybe I could turn that into bone broth, and that might help the healing.
Hmm.
So other than that, point being just keto diet. So eliminating carbs as much as possible.
Hmm.
Uh, for everyone, that's not ideal, but for brain health and especially cancer, that can be really supportive. So I'm doing that. Um, but the brain, I mean, that's like, I don't know if space is the final frontier or the consciousness or maybe the brain or all of them. The brain is like, it's not fully understood yet, and brain health and what that is. So that's definitely something that I think is going to become more understood in society, especially like you were talking about veterans. It's so sad that they have all these brain issues that aren't being addressed, and they need healing for their structurally for their brains, and then also mentally, emotionally. It's like, and the thing is, something amazing is happening because I met an entrepreneur and different doctors, and we're creating, I forget the name of it, but we're creating basically a conscious, part of it will be pay it forward healing um, space where people can receive free or very, very affordable hyperbaric oxygen therapy, intravenous ozone, and other healing modalities, frequency modalities that will help them heal at a very, very affordable rate. And plus, these technologies aren't even legally allowed in some Western hospitals. So this is
Especially,
all just,
yeah, especially the ozone. Like that one, it's just not as, it needs to be here. You know, ozone therapy and all of the modalities that are holistic aren't FDA approved here, have been working in Europe and Asia and Africa and all these other
yeah.
great countries, but we just, for whatever reason, people with terminal illnesses and severe chronic illnesses have to travel to go and experience them because we can't put regulation on them.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's part of what's happening. The old system is kind of dissolving. And these new ancient medicines, the natural medicines, the indigenous medicines are what are going to become more known about. That's my strong feeling. And I feel like
Absolutely.
that's why it's no coincidence I was with a shaman when this whole journey began in the first place, because that's the path that I'm on, and that's what I want to support people in.
Absolutely. What is, before we stop this segment, what is it one thing for the folks that are listening to you that you want them to take away today in this segment?
Mhm. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind in my heart is to like do your best to listen to your intuition, because your intuition is very powerful and it's connected with God and Great Spirit. And um, I think that's so important now with all of these distractions and all of the fear and stuff. But regardless of what's happening on the outside, your intuition is still there and the dreams in your heart. So yeah, I would suggest try to follow it now as best as you can. It'll guide you. It'll take you wherever you need to be.
Thank you so much, Ethan. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Blessings and love, everyone.